we found is aspirational and functional are the two components to generate loyal customers as long as you deliver on that promise consistently. And so the consistent component is interesting because as soon as you break trust with the customer, client, whoever your end user is, it's very hard to rebuild it again. Like a feature is not going to solve it, right? Or an email saying, hey, why don't you log in? That's not going to solve the trust that you just broke.
This is Frank Growth, where we turn growth theory into a sustainable operating rhythm. Today I'm joined by Cait Anderson, who's actually my co-founder and chief operating officer at Winston Francois. Cait has an incredible background. She actually built the global experimentation program at Uber, and now she's helping companies on the cusp of expansion unlock their outsized growth potential. If you're building your own growth OS, this is going to be your blueprint. Let's jump in. Cait, welcome to Frank Growth. Quick, warm-up question for you. Easy, really easy softball. What's a growth operating system?
Growth operating system are pieces of marketing that you can put together to acquire, nurture, and convert, ideally leading to revenue.
Everybody wants to make money. Okay, so let's dig into this episode, which is all about building that growth operating system.
Yeah.
What's one thing that teams often overlook when they're trying to create a sustainable growth system?
Sustainable and predictable are two important components. So sustainable to me is efficient, sustainable is repeatable, and sustainable is building. Predictable is interesting because we have to know what we can rely on in the future. So as it builds, we have to be able to rely on, estimate the return, grow and build the business around it.
Yeah, every CEO is like, okay, show me what's going to happen next. I want a forecast for the next quarter, the next year.
Yeah.
And then if you can't do that, then it's not predictable. And sustainable, you're saying, is like, we're going to make money. This is going to be efficient and drive to us being profitable.
Right.
So, is one of the things that we need in that system then some kind of metric or North Star to go after?
More important is understanding how all of the KPIs of the components of that system compile together and layer together. So for instance, we have acquisition, we have nurturing, we have conversion, we have all of the different channels that you're reaching a user in and pulling users through the journey. And so the compiling effects is the most important.
So maybe let's make it real for somebody. So give us an example from a company you've worked with where, you kind of built that stack of metrics and objectives and system to get to whatever that North Star goal was.
On the compounding effects, I think referral is one overlooked component, for instance, that companies typically forget. And operationalizing referral allows you to bring the user back in, have them be advocates of your product, celebrate their experience, and share with their group. And that exposes you to new users and new people and new revenue.
Any clients that we've worked with that you're like, they nailed it on the referral system building, or maybe the opposite?
Yeah, we have a lot. We actually have a lot that miss that because I think when people come to us, they think more about acquisition. I need to grow. Acquisition and growth are synonymous when they start having conversations with us. And they don't tend to think about where they're losing people or losing opportunity or natural habits are occurring, and we need to exploit those natural habits, those natural consumer habits to bring in more revenue.
How to lean into what the users are already doing to kind of feed the engine. Word of mouth is your best possible acquisition source, so why not incentivize it and make it easier for people to refer? Yeah. So how do you establish a consistent rhythm in marketing without kind of losing some of that flexibility that we like?
Okay, so flexibility is different based on the stage of a company, the stage of a team, and the talent on the team. And so let's talk about some companies that come to us who are in really early stage, right? And they're like pre-market fit. They want to grow for sure. And so we need to be super flexible though, because everything's new, right? We're standing up life cycle. We're standing up paid ads. We're standing up website.
So what's the rhythm for that early stage company versus the later stage one?
Yeah, the flexibility required at earlier stage is wider. The flexibility required at later stage, whenever you're spending $1 million a month in ads, is more predictable and planned. And so when we get to later stage companies, that flexibility required is more like 10 to 20% of active spend and resources is dedicated to this category of like experimentation and exploratory. Whereas I would say in early stage, all of the practices are really rooted in piloting first,
testing
and
everything.
then adjusting and rolling through. And we're going with foundational excellence first, right?
Yeah.
And so they feel like different chaoses for sure. And then operating rhythm is what you're asking about also. And operating rhythm is based on kind of the same, like what's the speed of your team, what's the cadence of their deliverables, and what's the talent that you're trusting.
Yeah.
And so, it could be daily stand-ups like we have.
Yeah.
Trust is low, I'm sure.
No, trust is high.
But speed is high. Speed is high, right?
We gotta move fast.
Yeah, we gotta move fast. So the daily stand-ups like we have.
I make the jokes. You don't. Hold on a second.
You could have weekly check-ins. That's the cadence that I really like with our clients, where it's weekly check-ins on what we're doing, what's next, what roadblocks we run into, right?
You've kind of built this system where every week, not only are those check-ins, right, but then there's okay, so here's what we got done this week. Here's what we're going to do next week. Here's where we're blocked. The PPP, the progress plans problems. We have kind of like this idea of starting to form, which is we've got a system. There's a bunch of different components in it. We're talking about how to stand up this kind of high quality foundation for early stage versus, a more mature organization that might have 80 to 90% of their investment they're making into growth in a very stable place and 10 to 20% experimenting. Make it real for folks. So like how do you see that coming to life for an actual example company we've worked with?
B2B SaaS company spends $1 million in paid media a month. They're spending $100,000 to $200,000 on experimentation. Experimentation on the paid side is new channels.
Right.
So this month,
like Google and Meta is 800 or 900,000 probably.
That's the foundation, right? And that's lead capture, that's conversion capture, that's demand. We can predict what return we're getting from those. We don't have as many expectations from experimentation spend or experimentation programs that we're standing up. We're learning and we're going to adapt and right size fit.
The goal is to learn, not to have the most efficient acquisition.
Yeah, of course. And same client, same example. Next month, we'll do LinkedIn lead gen ads, which is a new tactic. And, maybe they'll push a podcast or something.
Which is this idea of spending money to then go acquire users. And you said something a moment ago, which is like a lot of companies, they just want to grow and acquire. But there's a whole breadth of stuff that extends beyond.
Maintain, upsell, cross-sell.
Should we talk about data?
We can talk about data.
Because data is foundational to all of this, right?
Yes.
So maybe we shift gears because there's a lot of things, but I want to get into some of the examples in your experience in leveraging these different channels. So maybe talk a little bit about how we take data and turn that into actionable insights that can then shape growth strategy. What's the machine that does that? How does that work?
That? We can all put on our consumer hats. Like if you have a problem or one data point, it doesn't give you empathy. It doesn't tell the story. It doesn't round out how you would solve the problem. Right? If you're like, I'm late. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's just a fact, right? Same thing with data in a company. If you say this conversion rate is abysmal,
what does that
great.
mean?
But why is it there? What are people doing instead? Do you have enough traffic going in? Are
and
people
how do you
stuck?
diagnose a low conversion rate? Yeah.
In that instance, I would say you have to be empathetic for the user. You have to pretend like you are the user, like go through the journey yourself, log the friction you're interacting with. There is advice also that you could even have your someone older in your family do it, right? And say, here, try this, and then observe what's happening.
Log in, set up your account, try to buy something.
Can't get any harder than having them go through it. Like officially, we could do user studies. You could do eye pathing research. We can do like Crazy Egg does a really good on-site click path and things like that.
Basically tracking on the website to see what the user's doing to break down like, oh, they're getting stuck here or there.
Yeah, or like, a common thing people find out is like people click the login, but that's not a conversion.
Yeah. Oops.
But that's a CTA, and you want people
Call
to be
action.
logging in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But you want people to be logging in. So like there's silent moments that you need to exploit and build a story around. And this building a story is not new to digital teams. In engineering, they call it user stories. And so any bug where you're like, hey, this is broken, you can't just say it's broken. You have to build a story. You have to build a persona. You have to explain how many people are stuck in this thing. And then they ideate around how to fix it, right?
Grandma Betty keeps clicking login, and she can't go sign up.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't know where to go.
Exactly.
Let's talk about like customers and users and how we make promises, right? So what's the right way to kind of craft or think about messaging to drive to loyalty, retention, high engagement in a platform?
What we found is aspirational and functional are the two components to generate loyal customers as long as you deliver on that promise consistently. And so the consistent component is interesting because as soon as you break trust with the customer, client, whoever your end user is, it's very hard to rebuild it again. Like a feature is not going to solve it, right? Or an email saying, hey, why don't you log in? That's not going to solve the trust that you just broke. And we just had this happen, right? There's a software that we're selling for photographers and we want to acquire. And the promise to photographers is that we will generate more profit for you with this software. Use the software, you'll generate more profit
You'll
easily.
be rich. You'll make more money. Your life will be easier. There's the
And
aspiration,
so,
right?
If I buy into that, right, and I'm a user, I'm wanting that delivery of that promise.
Right.
We found a bug recently where if that photographer sends their delivery of galleries to an end user, their customer, they cannot log in.
That seems bad.
Through some routes. There's, some yes, some no.
Yeah.
And so, that just breaks the trust, right? And so that consistency is broken. And then we can't tell them how much they'll earn. They know that they can't if their end user can't log in. And so we broke the revenue trust with them. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah. So it's building trust over time, lots of little interactions that create this loyalty. And then it's very easy to just suddenly break it and lose
Fall
it.
out of graces.
Yeah. Let's talk about activation. So, getting someone to take that first step. So maybe we've made them aware of something, but how do we activate? How do we get somebody to take the action that we want? And, again, like please share examples of what you've seen that works well.
What do we do about people in the consideration mode? And so how do we get them to consideration mode first? Let's address that first.
Right.
We always think awareness tactics are best, which is categorically like top of funnel media and top of funnel tactics. So that's like making sure that your brand is showing up, whether it's in ChatGPT responses, Perplexity responses, right? Making sure that when they Google it, although I think we're going to say that less and less, they're present, right?
Yep.
And whenever they're in the mindset of scrolling and on a social platform, that they're being exposed to the brand. So all of that can be gauged by a brand lift study and saying like user that has been exposed, users that haven't been exposed, are you recognizing this brand?
Yeah.
Yes or no, right? So that's a brand lift study. Okay, then what do we do once we generate that interest, that excitement in the market, that audience? Then we look at the next tactic we can deploy, which is middle of funnel. Middle of funnel is what lead can you capture? Right? Do you want a white paper? Do you want to host a webinar? Do you want to attend an event and host people, for dinners? Or do you want to host people? What do you want to do? And then how do we take that excitement, that energy, and make sure that we also have conversion tactics live? And so that's the purchase moment, right? And so that's important for everyone's business. That's how we get healthy businesses. And the balance is we need to make sure that we have enough interest, enough audience that are pulling through that full funnel.
You have an example of where we've seen this work really well or not so well?
Yeah, I'll go back to the experimentation side. So when we come in, we first build conversion campaigns because that's what everyone wants to know. Like, what is my crew that I can recruit to convert first? I want to sell stuff and I want money.
Yep.
A lot of the times we're running these pilots or experimentation on building the audience at the top of the funnel. And so we did this for a SaaS company, and we said, this is how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost $2 million. We're going to put it in top of funnel, and we're going to see the audience grow at the bottom of the funnel. And it'll be more affordable because those users don't just convert in that channel. They also show up on Google. They show up on brand search Google, which is more affordable, right?
Yep.
And so your users that can convert are growing while you're spending top of funnel, and it kind of drips through, per se.
So you're building an audience, and then you're harvesting that audience.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
Let's do a kind of a speed round now. So
Okay.
these are like really quick.
Yeah.
Give me your shortest answer possible. The attention span of the world, as you know now, is very short. So let's see if we can do a lightning round, right? Give me a time you turned around a struggling ad campaign.
Media strategy.
Your dealer's choice.
All right. We took over a favorite resort in Northern California. Their media spend overall, it wasn't just paid.
Yeah.
And they had a blend of about 50% on digital ads and 50% on traditional. And to a resort that is locally, like in the area, they thought traditional was really important. We cut it down to 20%. We fit it in that bucket of experimentation. And we said, this is uncertain, the return. We're going to cut it out. So reduce it to 20%. And we're going to rebuild the digital campaigns to do full funnel, just like we said. And we're going to give those 80% of the budget. We moved the ROAS from a 2 to 1. We moved it to 20 to 1, right?
So every time you spend a dollar,
do the math. Yeah,
you
say it out
get
loud.
$20 back.
Yeah, which is better.
In revenue.
It's better.
Love that. Okay.
So that was good, right?
Yep.
Nugget done, but let's go a little bit further there. 20 to 1 is a bad ROAS also. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because it means you have available spend in the market. So would you want to get more back per dollar?
Yeah.
Or
spend more, maybe the return gets lower, but you get more volume.
Yeah. And then you have more repeating customers, right? This is like, let's not just think about the acquisition math. It's like, then they refer more.
Yeah. There's more energy
they bring
in the market
their
for your brand.
And so we encourage them by going through the months to go from 20 to 1 to 5 to 1. And that's kind of like our resting positive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What's the first step a leader should take to sharpen the team's strategic focus?
A strong leader should refine KPIs to one North Star.
Love that. Such
and
as?
just say, we are going to acquire users at scale. We are going to, that's one example. We are going to resolve revenue return for our spend. That would be 2.
Okay.
We are going to expand into a new market.
Great.
It's 3, right? And
Great.
so,
but one thing.
Pick
one thing.
Do one thing.
Yeah.
And then what they need to do next is say, now teams that are reporting to me, what are you going to do to accomplish that one thing?
Yeah. And let them come back with ideas.
They come back with those ideas.
Don't micromanage and tell them.
Yeah.
What is the most critical user behavior to track when you're really trying to optimize for conversions?
Buyer intent. And
how do you get there? How do you figure that out?
And signal for lifetime value. And so a really sophisticated team would have predictable metrics where it's like, if you click this in 5 days and do this in 2 days, then it's high LTV, predictable high LTV, right? Customer.
So it's like a PLTV value or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can throw that flag and you can send it back to all of your platforms and use cases. A more simplistic view is if you have pricing on your site and you have some path to convert, if someone looks at pricing, they are intent.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times we say, actually, anyone that goes to pricing, we want to remarket them harder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're interested.
Okay, so this was awesome.
Yeah.
We should do it again soon.
This is great. Thanks for hosting.
That was Cait Anderson, and I think that was absolutely a masterclass in creating repeatable growth. So here are my top 3 takeaways from the show. 1, referral and loyalty are often overlooked and undervalued, but they're a huge part of how people are hearing about what you're building and how they're going to ultimately convert. So lean into the referral behavior that's already happening, incentivize it. 2, early stage teams need flexibility, and they need the ability to be able to adapt and move quickly between different experiments and ideas and test what they don't know and then learn and iterate from there. While mature, later stage teams need a repeatable system, a cadence, an operating rhythm to follow with structure so that they can have things like 80 to 90% of their investment in growth as something that's always on, and then 10 to 20% is that experimentation, those new channels. And finally, 3, data on what your users are doing, plus empathy for their actual struggle and the challenge that they're facing, that friction with the product, the platform, learning what they're going through so that you can then make your experience better to increase the conversion rate, to make it easier for them to do the thing that you want them to do already. Thanks for being here with us on Frank Growth. Keep growing, and we'll see you next time.